All right, we've just moved back to the boardroom here, and so we'll just continue with our agenda. First thing is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. Thank you. Next, we'll go right to our spotlight on education.
All right, most of you were at the previous meeting and you heard from Luch. She is a world-class athlete in my eyes. We're up here to recognize her second state championship. She's a sophomore, just finished her sophomore year, entering her junior year. Back-to-back state champion in the 100 meter. Set a state record, obviously holds the school record. Just a top-tier student in our building, great leadership, multi-sport athlete. If you watch her on the basketball court, she probably could be the defensive player for the girls and the boys next year. It's truly a sight to see, but truly just a humbling athlete. When she walks through the hallways, you'd never know. She's one of the most decorated athletes that we have. And she's got, I don't know, lots of medals here. Just competed at the national AAU event. Came away with a bronze and 2 silvers, I believe. A silver in the 100 meter, 4x100 meter relay. And is it a bronze or is it fifth? Fifth in the 200 meter. So she's not just doing one event, again, 3 events, and just starting the recruiting process. There's a lot of people calling her, wanting to wine and dine her a little bit, build relationships. Some of these Division I schools are calling on a weekly basis, so she's embarking on that journey. And again, this is just, I think, the beginning of her success, and she's got many bright years in front of her. So, Luciana Azapira.
Luci, you got any idea where you want to go? Anything?
No pressure.
On the record.
Look at Mr. Benson.
We've been talking about all these Gophers, so you know.
You just be
Fire away!
upside down,
Strong of
upside
Lodi.
down.
Lane 8, Lenasia of Norwood from Pius Catholic.
There we go.
I'm just saying we do have like an Olympic, athlete in that upside down that came out of there. I'm just saying.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah, with these-
Lane 7, Lily Strong of Lodi. Lane 8, Lenasia Norwood from Pius Catholic. Lane 9, Sierra Hoffman Littleshoot. Lane 10 is Reese Rogowski of Wittenberg-Burnham. Well, this is an all-star race.
Ace Pereira has been at the top of the honor roll for most of the season, and but Delia Martins is going to have something to say about this as well. Keep an eye on the start again. I know we keep saying that over and over again, but when you have a margin of error as slim as this, the start means everything.
Got to figure Eliana Shepley has a chance at this as well. I mean, you can pick 5 favorites in this one.
Oh, yeah.
As Pereira out quickly for Amery, and she is extending the lead. Boy, it looks like a little triangle as they come down the track, and it's going to be the Amery runner, Luciana Ezpura.
That's an impressive win for Luciana Ezpura. As she wins, she was the reigning champion of the 100 dash, and she's back to defend and does defend her title. 2 in a row for the runner from Amery. In the boys.
All right. Good stuff. Congratulations. We're going to save a speech for her. We always recognize our state champions at a football game early in the year, so we'll save her a speach for
You
that.
just have to
So,
win it again, so you can come back next year.
yeah. Congratulations,
There you go.
Lucci. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
It's been impressive to watch. It's been truly a joy and impressive.
Yes.
But could you just give them your phonetic, like, spelling pronunciation of your name the next time? Because
It's funny because they ask too. Like when we go there, they're like, okay, how do you say it? They ask.
They're not listening.
not listening, not listening.
See?
I only got 2 more years to get it right. I can see it coming another 2 years.
Yeah, then hopefully they'll have 2 more as of heroes.
There you go.
True,
There we
true.
go.
They'll get it right then.
You're warmed up. Thanks, Lucci.
You-
Awesome
thank
job.
you.
Wednesday.
With that, we'll go to our consent agenda items. Steve,
That was Steve.
With the board vouchers?
yes.
So before we do that, I'd like to make a motion, we buy a pizza. Been a long night already.
It'll work that way.
Was
Doesn't work
that,
that way?
New guy buys.
yeah, I was gonna say,
New guy buys.
did you say you were buying pizza?
I'll buy
Then I'm seconding that.
So I reviewed the vouchers with Keith. He walked me through the process, and we didn't see anything that looked out of sorts. So with that, I'd like to make a recommendation that we accept them.
I'll second it.
And Joe seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Here we go. No community comments, so administrators, do you want to do a 30-second hammer out?
No.
He's passing.
Running a little
I
late.
recommend you make a motion to dispense, and if you need to see it, you can read it, because they've all altered it in the interest of time, and it's way past
I'm
the
good
end
with
of
that.
bedtime.
Is there anything outstanding, though, that should be mentioned? I mean, I read through them, but nothing?
School starts 28th. Be there.
This is your last gasp effort here to remind people.
Good, we're gonna open our doors. Thank you. With that, then we are going to go to our informational items.
We've still got.
We
Oh,
do this
you
in
wait, we're gonna do
You can't skip
seclusion
everything.
and restraint, I'm sorry. Yep,
Brad, you're up.
yes.
He was hoping you were gonna say no.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, those who've been to these meetings in the past, you've seen
Like
this is an annual reporting, and so I will move through it pretty quickly. So this is the annual seclusion restraint, 2022. No, that is not a typo. That is actually reporting last year's numbers for this year. Application 125 applies to both special ed and regular ed students, applies to all school district staff, independent contractors, and law enforcement. There's 2 things that this report's capturing. One, any physical restraints. Physical restraint defined as a restriction that immobilizes or reduces the ability of a student to freely move his or her torso, arms, or legs or head. And seclusion, the involuntary confinement of a student apart from other students in a room or area in which the student is physically prevented from leaving. A student is only subject to physical seclusion or restraint if their behavior presents a clear, present, and imminent risk to the physical safety of students or to others or themselves. So reporting requirements, each year we must submit a report to the board, and then that is transmitted to the state as well. Of the number of incidents of seclusion and restraint in the previous year, and the total number of students involved in the incidents, and the total number of students with disabilities that are involved in the incidents. So we report these requirements, one, just to be compliant with the state, to evaluate behavioral interventions used in the district, to ensure training, and to inform evaluation and discussion of future training needs. Here are the numbers for 22-23. As you can see, we've got 7 incidents of seclusion, 17 incidents of restraint, and total number of students is 8, and the total number of students with disabilities is 6.
Is that 6 out of the 8 or 6 in addition to the 8?
Correct, out of the 8.
Okay.
So the trainings must include, and we do annual trainings of crisis prevention and de-escalation that is done by a company, or we do a trainer of trainer model. So we have Chuck Wellman, a special educator, who's trained in CPI, and it focuses on de-escalation. It focuses on if you were to need to do holds, what those holds look like, how to do them safely, and experience in administrating any types of physical restraint, seclusion, and also things that we can do to really lessen the need to have to use physical restraint or seclusion, period. And that is probably about 80 to 90% of the training is really all the steps that you do to de-escalate, to really prevent the use of seclusion and restraint. So you have those trainings here. They're CPI, trainer to trainer. I think I hit a lot of this stuff, so we'll move on to the next one. Our trainings, we've had one on last Wednesday, a recertification training, and then we've got 2 upcoming this week, a recertification and full training. And then we also pair those trainings with the reporting requirements and the documentation training that if staff would need to document a seclusion or restraint, they know how to do that through our software system and notifying the appropriate people in the district, myself included as the designee for this data, as well as the building principal, case managers, and anyone that might be involved in that seclusion or restraint, and parents, most importantly, of course. So really, you know, why do we do this? What do we layer on top of it? A focus on relationships with students. Again, promoting knowledge of evaluating the risks and the things that might cause a student escalation and getting to know students. Knowing and supporting student engagement and parent and family engagement so that we can decrease the use of physical restraint and know when a student may be triggered, whether that might be due to trauma, that might be to family circumstances, those sorts of things. And then we also have a school-based mental health program with a referral pathway that hopefully allows us to intervene if needed by recommending that student to a local provider, perhaps to assist with counseling, a social services agency, or the county to help support students that are really struggling. So there's a couple resources. We're guided by the United States Department of Education, the Department of Public Instruction, of course, and then for your reference, we also have Amery board policy around the use of seclusion and restraint that was updated, I think about 3 years ago now.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, I do. Because you see repeat offenders on the list based on the numbers, do you see those same kids repeating in future years? And then do you see a point where they are aging out of it or getting help that gets them out of it? I'm assuming this is a younger population.
Yeah, that would be accurate. All of those are at the elementary level, just happens to be this year, but that is definitely the pattern. For students that, you know, are exhibiting needs of seclusion and restraint over multiple times, of course, we're exhausting our, you know, our referral pathways, providing first universal supports, and then they might be students that, yes, absolutely would get on the radar in terms of perhaps being eligible for more supports through a special education referral. You know, not always, but sometimes we're getting the county involved, doing threat and risk assessments. Those are sometimes part of the discipline actions that come around with some of those incidents. So yeah, in a variety of ways, we are definitely intervening if we're seeing a student, you know, that's requiring multiple instances of seclusion or restraint. We're communicating with the family, we're communicating with the team, and really trying to look at how to prevent that.
And are you seeing more numbers now compared to years ago? Or are the ways in which you're looking at it and tracking it different now compared to then, so you couldn't give an answer to that?
You know, each year is different. You know, there's different kids in each year. There's been years, a few years ago, we had a fairly higher number.
I think I would assign that due to, difficult placement discussions, high needs students. We have students that come in and out of the district that may have high needs on any given year, so it's really difficult to put together a pattern. Although I would say, as you touched on, that generally it's those elementary age students, and the state data would bear that out as well. DPI does post the statewide data, so if you want to take a look at and just do some comparatives from around the state with districts of different size, that information is available to review.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Anybody else? We'll move on to our clubhouse. Nina.
Good, because my alarm just went off, but it's fine. Oh, so it's been an absolutely wonderful year at Clubhouse, I have to say, or at least, spring and summer. We have had just the best summer, so I hope some of you have been following the Facebook page and have seen all the wonderful stuff.
Get on, Mike, there you go.
I forget that I'm so short. So yeah, I hope you've seen it. That we had brought field trips back. The kids have had a great time. I've had wonderful staff. Our current numbers, Becky had to update these for me because we got really lucky, thanks to Paula Johnson and our wonderful partnership. She had an extra room over at the elementary, and due to low 4K numbers this year, so she said that I could use that room. It's the special ed room in the same hallway that I'm already in, and I filled that room in 2 hours. So we'll have 8 additional infants starting on September 5th. So when we fully get into that room to help, because I had 31 children under the age of 2 on my wait list. So, and I had some families that had been on there for almost a year. So we were able to serve them and get them in. So you can see I'm still at 26. We are gonna be able to add, once we finally get into our new space, we will still be able to add even more children without adding any extra classrooms. Right now we're at our max number of classrooms that we'll have when we move into the new space. Some of the classrooms are just constrained by how small they are. So we aren't maxed out on those. Summer camp, we had 110 children this summer. I am taking 78 children, ages about 4 to 10, bowling on Wednesday. We're gonna have bowl at Mackenzie Lanes and pizza if anyone wants to come join us.
You have fun with that.
Steve, there you go.
Huh?
There you go, there's your pizza.
Yeah, there's your pizza. Come bowl with us.
Sorry you gotta herd the bees while you're at it, but.
We'll be in the lime green t-shirts, so you can't miss us. We did make a change to our programming this year, just due to the rising cost of everything. We will no longer be offering free meals with the tuition. So instead of charging more tuition, we're just charging for meals. But parents are eligible for free and reduced meals. So they were able to apply for those too. So we're just piggybacking through the school and doing the school lunch program and the school breakfast program. But then snack will still be free of charge. We've had minimal turnover this year, but everyone I've had, I think, has gone to Brad. So he took one of my teachers. It's going to make an amazing special ed teacher. So I just want to point out that 4 teachers in the district were former staff of mine now. And some hopefully future Amery Warriors teachers were leading my summer program this year. So, and we've kind of done an internship. I mean, these girls, Ella Schmidt and Olivia Pedersen and Chloe Olson, have been with me since I think their junior year of high school, maybe even sophomore year. And they're going into their final year of teaching, of college. And they ran the summer program this year. They planned everything. They did the curriculum, and they were amazing. So I would not be surprised to see them in these halls again in another year or 2. And I'm hopefully that some of the, Luciana Azapira works with us now at Clubhouse, so that's been wonderful. And we have some other really great young people coming up. So I hope to continue mentoring those high schoolers as they go through college and off into their careers. As far as my staff go, everyone is getting ready so that we can go and move into a 4-star program right away next year. Everyone will have their classes they need. to meet the 4-star requirements from Youngstar. So we should be all set to go. We're gonna do a mock Eckers review this year and have every room rated so we know where we're lacking and what we need to fix before the real thing next year. Any questions?
Nice to have extra room.
Yeah, thank you.
It is, and it is amazing to work with Paula. It is and special education over there. It is just a seamless, wonderful partnership. So,
That's good to hear.
yeah, I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't call you up yet, Tracy. No, you can go. Simon says.
Mr.
Also
Gould,
past Tracy's bedtime.
well, no, it's past Mr. Gould's bedtime, and he promised if I could do this in under 5, he's buying me lunch tomorrow. Ready? Okay, start timing.
Is it pizza?
Way better than that. All right, so community ed, I'm here tonight to talk about the past year, community ed and communications, just kind of put in a nutshell what's been happening. And I can't see the slides. So community ed offerings. I work in 5 different categories. So education and enrichment offered 70 different classes and workshops over the course of the past year. 29 fell under the category of recreation, dance, camps, 3 different events, 4 different day trips, and 3 open gyms throughout the year. Good news about these, it seems like since COVID, things slowly kind of crept back up again, and it's nice, just from last year, I think 14 additional education and enrichment courses, like 10 additional recreation, dance camps, so everything's kind of growing, and it isn't so much that people weren't ready to take classes, it was getting instructors back into the classroom from the community and coming in. So it's nice that that has moved its way back up again. So over the last year, 109 offerings, canceled 13, usually that's low enrollment, that's pretty standard, 96 occurred, 88% success rate, and one of the goals with community education is to utilize the school building hours after school hours, and based on my estimates, community ed occupied the school buildings for 444 hours, probably more than that over the course of the last school year. So participants, 546, education and enrichment, over 700 in recreation. Prairie Fire, we had 70 kids participating and a great audience this year of over 600 for 2 different shows. 158 people on day trips, and our open gyms, when we go through, so we do youth basketball open gym on Sundays, we do 5 or 6 power-up open gyms for families on Sundays, and then we have pickleball open gyms on Wednesday nights. And we just keep track of how many people are coming all the time. And this year, there were some Sundays in the middle school gym where it was full. We are outgrowing the intermediate school gym for our family open gym, so we had really, really good numbers. Obviously, those are some of the same people coming and going. They aren't officially registering, but at the end of every open gym, the supervisors sort of track how many people were there. And then I broke it down by age group, just so you can kind of see who we're serving in our community. And a lot of our K-5, 6, 8, there's after-school programming, robotics, things like that. A lot of DNR. I think Amery Community Education offers more hunter education, or we certify more kids in hunter ed, snowmobile safety, ATV safety, boat safety, than anyone in northern Wisconsin. We do a ton of hunter safety, which is really nice that we have instructors who are willing to do that because they volunteer all of their time for that. And then serving a lot of the adult population. And if I compare participants this year to last year, we were up over 750 more participants this school year than we were last school year. So once again, nice to see things coming up. So additional information, it's important that I work with different partners within the community. I listed them all there. I think I missed Power Up Synchro Valley Power Up through the hospital. Should be on that list. Something else that I spend a lot of time with our school registration software that we purchase through community education, that's actually utilized outside of community ed in a lot of different ways, community-wide, school-wide, which is really nice. All of our summer school registration is through our school. We're doing driver education through our school. We're already paying sort of gateway fees and credit card fees and paying to have that service, so we will collect money through that. It just makes things easier, so it's nice. And then I threw up there our registration money received, program expenses. The goal with community ed is always to cover cost of programming with registration we take in. So processed over $88,000 in registrations in the past year, spent $85,000 in expenses, and that's pretty much paying instructors, fees, tickets, things like that. So came out ahead, so that was good. And actually, between last year and this year, an additional $22,000 in registration. So another indicator of how much things have bumped up, which has been really nice. And kudos, I need to say thanks. We have instructors who do this, put in a lot of extra time. The custodians in the buildings are a huge help. The office staff, we have volunteers, our open gym supervisors. None of this happens without all of those people. I'm a department of one, and I can only be in so many places at one time. So it's great that we have a district that's really supportive and people all around who are supportive and help make all these things happen. So what's new and next? There will be a fall brochure that'll be hitting the mail the end of August, beginning of September. Some new instructors, some new classes. If you have a favorite pet, you can come this fall and you can make a mosaic that resembles your pet that you can take home and you can hang on your wall. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it looks really cool. So I don't have a pet, so I won't be doing that, but some fun things coming up.
I'll loan you a picture of one of my cows, Tracy.
No, well, actually, that would be a real, wait till you see it, Shar. You're going to want to come and do this.
You're free to.
And as far as additional partners, new things, like I'll be working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Wild Rivers Conservancy, doing a workshop. I think it's a 5 or 6 session workshop this fall on native plants, management, so kind of some new and different things. So any questions about community ed programming?
If we ask you questions, does it cut into your 5 minutes?
Yeah.
She's already.
I am not.
You are.
I suppose.
I appreciate all you do because it's a lot.
Thank you, Steve.
It is.
All right, so district communications. I just have a couple slides there. First of all, why we do what we do. I don't need to read through all those, but in a nutshell, it is to celebrate our students and our staff and to connect our school to the community. And we do that a lot of different ways. Obviously, working on that website, district newsletters. We put out 3 district newsletters a year, and every one of those goes into nearly 8,000 mailboxes. Our district calendar, the marquees out front, our notification system, our district app has been downloaded almost 4,000 times. Lots of use to the calendar, people linking to the district website, just a way to make our resources more accessible to everyone. And then social media. And the next slide, I thought I'd throw out some social media fun facts. According to Facebook Insights, the School District of Amery Facebook page has almost 6,000 followers. And in the last year, we reached 346,642 different Facebook accounts, Facebook users, actually. In the past year, over 60,000 people visited the School District of Amery Facebook page. So I think we're getting noticed. They know we're there. And new likes and followers in the past year, 556. So I'm pretty proud of that. Those numbers keep growing, and at the bottom, you can see the chart there. It's mostly women, middle-aged women on Facebook. 45 to 55.
I love it. I know it.
I took his phone away from him. He's been jittering over here for an hour.
No.
Where's the Twitter statistics? Is that just me and Tom? Are we the only followers on Twitter?
Yeah, I haven't decided what to do with X yet.
Yeah, it's called X, not Twitter.
Yeah, I haven't decided what to do with Twitter/X yet. What's interesting about the followers, we know our Facebook followers, middle-aged women for the most part. Then you go to Instagram. There's a reason we're on Instagram. Our followers there are our youth. Ages 8, well, it doesn't even show under 18, but that's where our high schoolers are, and that's where younger people are. And one goal for this next year is to really bump up that Instagram following. We're doing really well. We reach a lot of accounts, we reach a lot of people. I just haven't really put the time into Instagram like I have to Facebook, and now it's time to kind of move that way. YouTube, we have almost 4,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. It holds 426 videos and has been viewed over 2 million times since 2014. In the last 90 days, almost 62,000 views on our YouTube page. And obviously, that's not everybody watching every video, but
Just the
YouTube,
board meetings.
yeah, just the board meetings, yes,
Right.
yes. And some concerts, there's some concerts in
And we
there,
still know what
graduation,
the most
stuff
popular
like
board
that.
meeting about.
And I'd like to give a shout out to our staff that provide that content. I can only be in so many places at one time, so that's coming from teachers and paraeducators and people all over the district, taking pictures of our kids, sending them to me, sending me captions, and it's a big part of what we do, and it's important. We need to be, we need to be out there, we need to be sharing the good news, and that's just one of the ways that we do it. Darn it, Josh, here's my last slide. Am I really over my 5? I'm sorry. All right, so last one I just thought I would put up there. I know I talked about YouTube, but the different things, different types of videos that are on YouTube if you've never visited it, things that I'm responsible for, I've covered. We do our Veterans Day program, put it out there for the public, our senior walk, our graduation ceremony, state athletic send-offs, Halloween parades, Miss Amery coronation, board meetings, music concerts, and obviously I don't do all those things by myself. We have some volunteers that help with some of those things. Andrea's here doing the board meetings, and it's important we also share all of that with Amery Cable TV, so it's all out there for even the non-social media, non-YouTubers to see. And then just for fun, I thought I better throw in there the We Are Amery. I don't know if people realize how much we live stream and how much we record, but in the last year, recorded 64 athletic events, which was well in excess of 160 hours of footage, athletic footage, putting our kids out there for everyone to see. Working with 9 announcers, 2 videographers, more cables and cords than I can count. And the sports we cover are on the bottom there, and we also share almost all of that with Amery Cable as well, making that available beyond YouTube and Facebook. So anyway, questions on?
How is your equipment? As much as you're using all that stuff, how is
Well,
it?
would you like to buy me some more? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just thinking that it's an important piece of what happens at the district, right?
It is.
And I'm sure that it's all part of the technology meetings. I haven't been involved in any of that, so it's just a general question. How is it?
I spent a large portion of today, and John and I just talked about budgets, purchasing a new camera, some new lenses, and kind of stepping some things up as we use different software. We went to a different software last year that doesn't rely on the iPads. The iPads are super convenient, and you really can do a lot, but you can't see the kids out on the 50-yard line of the football field. So we're doing some things with that. So we're going to make some purchases and keep working on that. And obviously, we're part of We Are Amery, so I ask them for some things as well. I mean, they sell ads, and we run those ads, and we do it for them. So there are times, and I'm turn to them and say, you need to get us some stuff
Sure.
if you want us to do a good job. But I'll take more if you always. Right, we good? So
Well,
no lunch-
Josh,
no
Josh,
lunch
she
tomorrow?
deserves the pizza tomorrow, right? Yeah, thanks, Tracy.
Good
You
job.
deserve the 5 minutes plus. You really did. You do a great job. Thank you. Next, we have the information item. So we got
This is a
transportation
first
policy.
reading of a new transportation policy. I was approached by a bus driver and by Director of Bus Transportation to introduce this new policy, and it states, I'll read it to you, all extra field trip and athletic bus driving opportunities, not including transportation for direct classroom instruction, shall first be offered to route holding bus drivers. If route holding bus drivers do not express an interest in these opportunities, other qualified district staff will have the ability to drive bus transportation for these field trips and athletics. At the end of the day, you still need to be certified to drive a bus, but what the policy in essence does is gives first crack at an opportunity to our route holding drivers.
I thought we did this. I thought we had this.
We don't, we haven't followed it. It's a cost-saving measure from building principals to use whoever is certified to drive, but it is in essence taking money out of the pockets of those who are certified to drive bus around here for a living. So all this does is simply give them the right of first refusal, if you will.
Well, what
Yeah, I thought
was
we
that
had some.
conversation that we did? I mean, because we actually got an email from one of our bus drivers asking for that when we did this last year, and it's
No,
it's there somewhere.
It didn't look quite like this. I'd have to look to see what the policy was that we visited last year. I simply don't remember. But it wasn't exactly this.
Seems to me it might have been more than last year, a couple, 2, 3 years ago, maybe, but
Yeah, maybe.
regardless.
The
I
years go
guess
faster than I think.
I can't say I have it committed to memory, so if we don't have it, this looks very similar to what we had talked about, so,
Yeah.
if not almost identical, so.
So instead of saving money, going with someone who would do it, it just almost seems unionized.
Well, there isn't a union, it isn't unionized.
I get it, but it seems like that.
Sure.
You can say it doesn't. This seems exactly like something I would put in,
Sure.
since I am in a union.
Right.
So-
I think we had, actually, Joe, I think we actually had that kind of discussion when we talked about this.
Based on the amount of money that a road driver makes morning, afternoon, per hour plus mileage, to take other opportunities away from them, I think this is a policy that would work in their favor and is the right thing to do, because it's a pittance. The folks that are doing it are typically certified staff, and their main bread and butter is their teaching contract. This is an extra above and beyond for them. This is, for bus drivers, a big deal.
Well, and I thought that part of that discussion centered around, because, I mean, we were having such a hard time, and still do, getting bus drivers and then retaining them. This was because, I mean, this was a large portion of that.
Yep.
I know I'm not wrong when I talk about that. I know,
I'd have to look and
I'm
see.
pretty sure that was part of that discussion that we had.
I'm sure it was.
And this is just not the way procedures always occurred? This
No,
is,
it hasn't. For instance, at the high school, they did college trips, and I think you had 4 destinations, and 4 high school teachers drove those 4 buses, because you had 4 eligible drivers.
Correct.
So you could do it that way still. I mean, this isn't the policy you need to adopt, this is about a first reading. If it's something you choose not to do, or table it, or however you proceed, you can. I'm here in advocacy for the bus drivers, because again, this is their bread and butter. And I don't think all of them are interested. We have some 16 to 18 drivers with subs. There are about 2 or 3 that are taking most of the occasions to drive. There are still availability for others to take those routes. Not everyone wants to do it.
And
Or
like
can't.
the case you mentioned where 4 high school drivers or high school teachers drove a bus, they're obviously certified,
Yep.
right? But, okay.
Bus drivers weren't even asked in that circumstance, and I totally understand why. It's the convenience, they know the kids, they know the route, they can drive a bus, let's schedule them up, and let's not even worry about the paperwork of getting a bus driver. Makes sense to me.
I'm just kind of worried that I don't think you need a policy for every single thing, an exact thing out, procedure out there. I don't, but I mean, again, if there's concerns of unfairness or whatever.
I don't think it's the concerns of all of them, I think it's the concerns of a few. I think for most, they could care less, because they're not opting in to do it anyway. I think it's the 2, 3, 4 or so folks that are looking to drive routes, and they're already driving an abundance of routes by going to all over for sporting events. They just want to have first right of refusal on all events. But if it's something that you're not inclined to do at this time, I wouldn't disagree with you. If you did do it, I wouldn't disagree with you there either. It's not a game changer in my mind.
Well, we'll visit it next month.
Okay? Sounds good.
Thank you.
How does this work, Sean, with like, I see that this just says like extra field trip and athletic bus driving opportunities, but like you have a teacher like, Mr. Meyer who takes his, like horsemanship class out, is that,
No, it says not including transportation for direct classroom instruction. Horsemanship would not be
Okay.
included.
okay,
And you'd also have freshwater ecology where the science goes out and you do stream studies.
okay,
Ryan Humpel is the instructor for that class, and he drives bus. He got a bus license to do that very thing.
okay.
Okay,
All right.
we're on to our preliminary budget.
So Sean had asked me after the last board meeting to just do a very quick kind of high-level overview of where we're heading for the 23-24 school year. Obviously, coming into September after the annual meeting, we'll solidify some of these numbers, and then coming into October, we adopt the budget. So I just wanted to do a couple kind of quick slides here, just with where we're at. So the first thing is just understanding several assumptions. Number one, this is based off of unaudited actual numbers. Our audit is set to start 7 days from today, so it'll be a very exciting week next week. So the Baird model, which is what we use to forecast and what we use to actually adopt our budget, which is a phenomenal piece of spreadsheet ingenuity, if you will, is based off of actual numbers, which is obviously the preferred way of accurately budgeting. So the revenue numbers are forecasted, but we're not going to say that they're the right thing until we certify or we do our aid certification in October. And then once we get into it a little bit, I just wanted to call out the attention to the per pupil increase of $325 that's included in the state biennial budget. So the first slide, these are going to be a series of depictions or illustrations that you guys are going to get all too familiar with seeing. And this is just simply what is our revenue limit. And as you can see, it's our FTE based off of our third Friday count times what our per pupil aid will be for this year, which is $11,499. With our one-time, plus our one-time non-recurring exemptions, with our added to our ongoing recurring exemptions, which gives us our total revenue limit authority of $60,662,934. And keep in mind, this is just for Fund 10. So then we start discussing what is our allowable rev limit tax levy. And as you can see on here, this is different than our total tax levy. What this is our revenue limit minus what our equalization aid, computer aid, and personal property aid are, which gives us our allowable limited revenue limit tax levy. And then if we go to the next slide, this is our actual tax levy. And if you can see, all of that last number comes in. We add our Fund 38, which is our debt that we've been talking so much about. We are adding our Fund 39 debt levy to this as well, with a little bit for our Community Service Fund 80. So our total tax levy for this school year is $11,428,476 and some change. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with the question of what is our mill rate, and our mill rate is our total school-based tax levy, which is that $11,428,478, divided by the equalized property value for our district, which is almost $1.4 billion. We multiply that by 1,000, which gets us our mill rate of $8.19. The question that you're probably asking is, what does that compare to other districts? And the answer to that question is, it still puts us below what the state average is. If you look at other districts, Clear Lake is in the 9s. If you look at a district like St. Croix Falls, they're over 10. So it is a little bit of that. Where does that increased our mill rate by about 20 cents year over year. Is that accurate to say, Sean?
That is accurate. The state average is about 9.5 or so,
Something like that. So even with our current referendum debt, we are still one of the lowest in CISA 11, if not in Northwest Wisconsin. So then just splitting off, what does our total revenue outlook look like? So the green year, which is current year, which is no longer current, but for 22-23, you can see in there all the different revenue lines, our high poverty aid, our state SAGE, or AGR, as we are affectionately calling it now, computer and personal property aid, per pupil categorical aid, et cetera. And what that looks like for this school year is $22,241,042. If you look at that last column, that's just a one-year forecast. And again, the reason those are both highlighted in yellow, and you'll see them highlighted in yellow, is because those are calling out that that's part of the biennium budget. So we have a slight increase, or slight decrease over last year. And then we start talking about our expenditures, and again, this is broad. This is incredibly broad. As you can see, we are looking at 15 million and some change in total salary and benefits, which is a decrease from last year. We are also looking at a total expenditure of $22,278,048, which is again a reduction over last year. And if we look at the 24-25 forecast as well, you'll start to see that our margins are kind of opening up a little bit. And the reason for that is simply because we have a more or less 3% year over year from last year to this coming school year increase in salaries that we don't see another kick on for 24-25. So the big picture of where does this leave us coming into the end of next fiscal year? That leaves us in a very good position. We have a total salary and benefits as a percentage of our expenditures of 67.7%. As a percentage of revenue, 67.8%. And you can see what our fund balance is there. Again, once we get out to 2024, 2025, some of those additional expenses kick off, and that's where you start seeing a better surplus. Any questions or clarifying things? Again, we're gonna be going over this in detail very soon, but I wanted to give an opportunity for questions for Fund 10. Or if there's anything, Sean, that you didn't think I covered.
Remember, the reason we're getting to this here in August is because we didn't get our biennium budget in the state of Wisconsin passed until about the second week of June. So we simply didn't know anything until then. And here we are now with the numbers that we know. And this will continue to change until we get aid certified in October. But this is a pretty strong estimate as to where we stand and where we'll stand at the end of the year.
It's just the more finite details, mental health monies, how it's gonna be spent, that sort of thing that we're not really gonna know for some time yet.
Anybody got a question? Money in, money out. All right. We'll go to our referendum building and grounds.
Referendum building and grounds, we have been doing monthly meetings. George has been our tour guide. George, myself, Ryan Pease, our grounds supervisor, Joe Bierkamp and Keith Anderson are the people that make up that building and grounds committee. What is noticeable to me, at least, on my most recent visit to the high school, is that we've moved from demo to redesign, reconstruction. Looks like something, whereas before it looked like demo. And that's well-timed, because we have kids arriving in about 2 weeks. So we have turned the corner. We are still, to use Kraus Anderson's words, we are under budget and on schedule. Those are always good words to say in regards to referendum. I'm not sure if George wanted to say anything, or Gary Zifko from Kraus Anderson. Josh is spending his days at the high school, or Joe or Keith wanted to say something. I'll turn it over to you if you have something you want to share.
I just think these guys are doing a fabulous job, and they're working really hard to make it so that we can be in our spaces soon, and great communication, just masterful. Been really impressed.
And I give kudos to the high school staff. The high school staff under Josh's leadership is the reason we are ahead of schedule, because we were able to get in earlier than later. We were in basically the first week of May. If we would have waited until the first week of June, we wouldn't be ahead of schedule. That was the flexible moment that I don't think Kraus Anderson even expected.
Yeah, I'll just add, Josh and group have been equally great to work with. I mean, they've been super easy with us and letting us do what we need to do, so it's been beneficial to everyone.
Anyone wants a tour, you're more than welcome to join us, get your hard hat and go. It's a pretty awesome thing to see. And I can't even imagine how awesome it's gonna be when it's done. It is phenomenal what's occurring there.
The mechanicals are kind of over the top. When you look at the ductwork that's being done in there, it's just like, holy crap. They moved a lot of stuff, and it'll be unviewed, but make no mistake, there's a lot going on.
The game
above the
changer at the
ceiling.
high school is out of sight in so many ways. The efficiency of that building is abysmal. It's gonna be much improved. It won't be 100% efficient, not by no means, but greatly improved.
Yep. All right.
Anyone else?
All right. Now we'll go on to our action items. Troy, with the geothermal upgrade.
We have a geothermal upgrade update. Troy always likes to refer to Kraus Anderson as the dream killer. I don't know. You might get that moniker now.
Saying the dream killer is
The federal government?
The federal government. So when I was here last time, we sat down with our tax consultant, went through what does the IRA, Inflationary Reduction Act, allow us to do? What's he been working with other clients to have done? So we don't do this alone. We hire somebody who's a professional who, that's their full-time job, is to pursue these things. And when you asked John Hunick what was the one thing he was afraid of, and he said the unpredictability of the federal government. And so that's kind of what we're up against. All of the stuff that we've been submitting has been dead on. The only rule change that's really been hugely impactful is the federal government used to look at this as 40% of the system needed to be manufactured in the United States. They've changed that. They're negotiating through a process to say that 40% of each component should be manufactured in the United States now instead of 40% of the system. So when you do that, it's hard to get mechanical units and things like that to say, okay, manufacturer, tell us how much of this particular machine came from the United States. Not just assembled, but came from. And so that has to be the challenge right now that we're up against in terms of the biggest challenge. The second component is just the flexibility and knowing what the soil's gonna give up with regard to the well field. So do we drill 50 wells or do we drill 55 wells? So right now, we're going through with Kraus kind of an exercise or process of how many wells will we drill, what will that cost look like, and how will that impact the numbers? Because the credit that you receive back, irregardless of how the federal government looks at that 40%, is based on the efficiency or size of the system. And so if you drill fewer wells because the ground is better, the number you get back goes up. And so we're working through all of those things right now in order to nail down specifically what it is that will be the benefit. One question you had was, how much money will we save, or how much energy will you save going from the system that's currently being installed to the system that it gets modified to with the ground source system? Your utility costs won't change a whole lot, and the reason is because most of the electrical grid gets generated through natural gas. So if right now natural gas is lower in price, if natural gas prices go up, what happens to electrical prices if 50% of the grid, roughly, is generated by natural gas? So as those numbers kind of find their way, the goal of the administration is to say that we'll get to a point where 75% of the grid is generated by sources other than natural gas and coal. So that's how they're trying to move in that direction with decisions like this. But so your electrical bill and your gas bill, won't change a whole lot, but how much you consume in energy will go down. So you're saving energy on the consumption side, but dollars and cents, because electricity is more expensive than gas, you're not going to see quite the same savings as you would looking the other way. The engineer that does those calculations was on vacation. He comes back this week, and so he'll get the definitive numbers, because we also have to negotiate with your electrical company and how your rate structure works with peak shaving and things like that. So all of those things are up for negotiation. And then the last thing we're working on is the rebates with focus on energy. So it will be a custom rebate that gets negotiated for the geothermal field, and right now the engineers are going through that. they're negotiating something around $100,000 in the neighborhood for rebates. So we'll have a more definitive number at your next board meeting as well, as we continue to kind of button it up and say, here's what the total package looks like, and here's how it gets reimbursed and compensated, and what that timeline looks like.
So at present, we are not certain that we would get a rebate through the Inflation Reduction Act. If we're not certain that we are going to get a rebate, we would carry the cost of that system, approximately $2 million, and then get a rebate that would get us back about $100,000. Now, if the letter of the law changes and we would have the $2 million covered via the Inflation Reduction Act and get an additional sum of money, then we're back on the table. The reason it's an action item here this evening is so you all can say, pause on geothermal until we know exactly what we're gonna get back, if anything. Or for you to say, we're done. We're not gonna do this at all. We're done right here and now. But I would encourage you to pause tonight, and we'll bring it back in September when we have all of the details set and decided and known.
Yep, so in December, or at the next board meeting, we'll have a spreadsheet, hopefully that is agreed to by the tax consultant, the entity at the federal government that reviews it and makes a decision on those items, focus on energy and the rebates that come that way, and then have a more exact number based on the opinions of all the people who weigh in, what those values would be. And then also the comparative analysis that says, you know, you've got $300,000 for a potential chiller that you need to fund in the near future, and those things as well, just as an accounting to say.
So it isn't dead on arrival, it's just unknown as to what it looks like.
Correct.
And
Yep.
we're gonna take the next couple of weeks to figure that out, and in September, you can
Yep.
say yay or nay at that point.
Yep, the biggest change was just the federal government saying, we're gonna look at this differently when it comes to the 40%. So before it was 40% of the system, now they're saying, we think we're gonna change that to 40% of each component. So,
President, can I make a motion to table this until we get the answers needed
Yep.
for the rebates?
I actually have a question regarding that, because there isn't really anything here to move on. We've already, this isn't your deal, but we've already locked this in by official board motion
Correct.
last month. So actually, we would need to rescind that motion that locked us into that last month, I would think.
If that's what you so choose to do. I mean, however it looks semantically, in the end, we need to put a pause button on this until we know the rest
yeah,
of the
so
story.
right.
Because
so
there's
right
nothing to
now-
table, we don't have
Yeah.
any information,
Yeah.
or there, you know, there's nothing to make a motion to table, because there's nothing here, we've already done that.
You're saying
Yep.
then rescind the previous motion.
Yeah, we would have to rescind the previous motion from
Whatever
last
it
month
looks like
to
me, doesn't matter.
enter into that contract for those options.
Because then we just have to make a new motion next month with the new numbers, if so that comes.
Right, because we don't have anything to
Because even if we
table.
paused it, I guess it wouldn't,
Make the motion and I'll second it.
yeah.
A move to rescind last month's decision to enter into the geothermal contract option. So, and then
Joe,
we need a second to that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? There we go.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so the last item is just, the last board meeting was to basically allow us to pursue this, do all the paperwork, get it all done. In a conversation that Sean had with my boss, LHB is agreeing to complete all of this stuff at no cost to the district until you make a decision, and then we would just sit down with Sean and say, okay, if you're going forward, this is the fee. If you're not, then we're gonna eat the cost, so.
When the details arrive, we're gonna come right here and we'll look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an LHB creation, this is a federal government creation.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
Troy.
you.
Thank you, Troy.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next, we tabled that Construction Academy
Yep.
farm well bid.
Well, the well bids are back. They are actually apples to apples. In conversation with George, the contingency that's built in there, the specifics of it
Yep.
does make it apples to apples. So I would recommend, I know it's a small sum of money, but I would go with the lower of the two.
Right.
Must, yeah.
And George is comfortable with
He
either
is.
one, right?
He is, we have a personal recommendation on both. We've worked, we have people that are connected to us that have worked with both. They're both reputable outfits.
And so this is basically telling us that they're estimating about 160 foot
feet.
wood well.
Yeah.
Yep. And Ed Flanham has been working with us as well. He's the person that we contracted out to survey the land, and he has experience with both, and he's advocated for both. So we're in good hands either way, in my mind. And the time is of the essence. We want to get this done so we can get the well in before the weather turns. So we would do it between now and basically.
We drill wells in the middle of winter.
Well, it's easier when it's not, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And do we have placement for this well figured
Yes,
out?
we have an exact GPS location that we put as part of the bid that Ed determined.
Okay, and it makes sense in regards to when we put in power and, because Josh, we've had this ongoing discussion as part of the
Yep.
committee meeting, so that makes sense with
The
regards to
location of the well bid was the well location was communicated with Josh Ganji and with Derek Meyer. They both know exactly where it will be.
And so we're gonna drill this well, but we don't have power yet to run it, correct?
Correct. Nor do we have that little mini outpost or whatever that they told us that although that was for the city hookup, so.
Right.
No power out
So
there.
this is just the well, but we can't use
Yep.
it yet.
Correct.
Okay.
So then we need to engage with Excel. That's the next step.
I make a motion that we go with the bid for BLC well drilling.
All right, Steve
Second.
made the motion, second? Is there a second?
Second.
Dale.
Dale? Excuse me. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No? There we go. Drill a well. Bright spot, donations to the district.
Donations to the district. Thank you to the IPO for helping to pay for the new climbing wall in the gym. They paid for a portion of that, and the remainder of that was through the intermediate school budget. I'm sure it will be heavily used.
By the staff?
Maybe, I don't know. If Jessica's going crazy, she goes and climbs the wall, I don't know. So that was a IPO donation. Thank you to Barry Eklund for his donation of international coins for our students to study and research.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you to Sally Pickard for donating a variety of clothing items to the intermediate school. And many thanks for your support.
Yes.
I'll just add, we're getting a lot of school supply donations, and we'll recognize all of those in September.
Perfect.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you, Becky. Motion to accept the donations.
Motion.
Steve, second.
Second.
Joe, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. There we go. And thank you. Wonderful.
Where are the coins going? Like, who gets to use that? Do they get passed around? What, does anybody know anything about that?
I
I'm gonna bring
don't.
them to the admin team tomorrow, and you guys can fight over who
Okay.
gets to take them back.
Well,
to
maybe
their
you guys
school.
could just pass them around, but that's really cool.
They're all rubles.
Nice.
All right, personnel action.
We have new employment and extracurricular contracts for Kelsey Bauer as special ed para, Matt Carey, 7th grade girls basketball, Becky Dahlberg, food server, Josh Grams, middle school football coach, Natalie Jackson, special ed teacher, speech and language pathologist, Josie Ludovico, nice, very good.
Good job.
Custodian, Hannah, how do you do that one? Maximovic, for, there you go, Hannah M. For girls assistant tennis coach, Sarah Monson, special ed para, Mia Nortunen for early childhood special ed, Alejandra Schussman for special ed para, Mary Stallheim, office para, Brandy Swagger, clubhouse lead teacher, and Lawrence Wolf, van driver. Reassignments of Michelle Franczyk, Jenna Kaiser, and Alex Lilienthal, and Terry Maurer from the locations you see there, from and to. And then resignations for Fabriana Buffington in special ed, Mary Beth Chirico in special ed, Nikki Lanford, regular ed, Sherry Lee, 7th grade assistant volleyball coach, and Stephanie Tolzman as a special ed para.
All right, motion to accept those personnel items.
I'll make a motion, we accept the personnel action.
Dale, second.
Second.
Char. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. There we go. Do we have a need for closed?
No, sir.
No. Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Joe, Second. Dale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much.